Hey y'all. I figured I would just batch record a couple of book reviews that are quick so I have some content to post up. So for the several of those that happen, I'm going to look just like this. Everything in the background is going to look just like this. It's going to be totally fine. You're going to love it. Hit subscribe. This one is going to be for A Woman Is No Man by Etef Rum. So I read this book for Boozy's Baking Bibliophile Baby Daddy Book Club. I don't remember. I don't remember all the words in there, but it's an Instagram book club. We meet once a month to discuss a book that she picks the month before, just like probably most book clubs, I guess. So, A Woman Is No Man is a story of 17-year-old Isra, who is being groomed for marriage. So that's the 1990 Palestine timeline. And then there's a second timeline with Isla's daughter, Daya. So Isra is in Palestine, is on the market for a husband, but really would prefer to have more options open to her, but there aren't any. And then we hear about Isra, where she's at, kind of what happens with her getting married, and that they are going to go to America. The next chapter is Daya. It's 2008, and Daya is living with her grandmother, so Isra's mother-in-law and father-in-law in Brooklyn. So the two stories are really parallels related to some of the limited options that women have in their Muslim community, and that the mother, I think her name might be Farida, so she is Isra's mother-in-law and Daya's grandmother, really is a hard-nosed patriarch of the family, really wants a lot of the customs and cultural expectations that they grew up with in Palestine to be maintained even after they've moved to New York, into America. So within the family, the expectation is that you do not become American, you stay rooted in these cultural expectations, which include men being the head of the household and women basically complying with men's wishes. So it's a touching story, of course. There are lots of hard parts to it. I would say the trigger warnings include alcoholism, abuse of all kinds, including child loss. And I think, based on the initial discussions in the book group, most people found it emotional, but really good and really worth the emotional work of getting through these two storylines. So that is A Woman Is No Man. That's not a very good review, is it? So I really enjoyed this story. The two stories. I think it's really hard to do well two stories in two different timelines, particularly if they're related to each other in some way. So, for example, we meet Isra, and then when we have Daya's chapter, we learn that Isra is no longer around, and actually we learn that she's dead in the second chapter. And so then when it goes back to Isra's story, I almost didn't really care that much. Like, the point of, or what I wanted from Isra, to know what happened to her after she went to America, I learned it in the next chapter. So going back felt like going back, which didn't feel very necessary to me. But the writing is really good. This is the author's debut novel. If you really like immigration stories, acculturation stories, stories about family, and stories related to women finding their way or not finding their way, as the case may be. If you're really interested in trauma and how traumatized people traumatize people, then this would be a great book for you. I would give it at least a 3, if not a 3.5 stars. I Like I said, for the writing mostly, I wasn't overly compelled by the story, which didn't feel new to me, but will feel new to others. So I think it was worth a read. If you've read this and you really enjoyed it, or you read it and you hated it, or you read it and you were kind of around a meh range, drop it in the comments and tell me what you thought. Thanks so much. See you on the next one.